Oh my goodness. Good morning, good afternoon, whatever it is for you. My name is Zach Schomler. This is Strong Opinion Sports. And joining me is my good friend Nathan. Nathan, how are you, man?
Oh, it feels good to be back. Feels so great to be back. I'm doing really, really well. Wedding planning's going well. Things are coming together here in San Francisco. It's been good. How are you?
You know how like chaotic my life is, behind the camera. You know like what's
On a
going on.
consistent basis?
I
Yeah. Yeah.
I got engaged. That's kind of the best thing in my life right now. That's actually and also been the smoothest, easiest thing ever. I've got a lot of career stuff kind of up in the air right now, and that's been
Sure.
turbulent. We'll put it that way. Molly's excited. Little advice for people out there: if you ever get engaged, be really thoughtful to plan an engagement in the style that your specific person would want. Right, like Molly, for example, introvert, would hate it if I did it at like an NBA arena in front of thousands of people. Like she doesn't want that at all. She wants something quiet and private and low key. I catered that to her, and then I bought the ring she specifically wanted. Like we went ring
Perfect.
shopping together. She knew I got the ring. Like it was very transparent. It wasn't a big surprise when I got down on a knee, but that way the experience I delivered was exactly what she wanted, and cannot recommend that approach enough.
Yeah. It turns out if you listen to your lady, things tend to work out. If you just do exactly what they say and exactly what they tell you, you're golden.
You'd be surprised how difficult that advice seems for a lot of
It
people.
is hard. Listen, it's hard to do. Trust me. It's hard to do.
Today I want to talk about NFL free agency, kind of catch up on what's gone on, share some reactions to things, what we hope for in the future. And on that note of like what we hope for the future, this is a move that hasn't happened yet. There's two specific quarterbacks that do not have a team yet. One I really want to see land somewhere that I don't think is going to happen, but I'm interested in that. And then the other quarterback is Russell Wilson, who I think doesn't really have a spot in the NFL in 2025. We'll see. Maybe that's changed. Like maybe he wants to be the backup quarterback of the Jets or something. I don't know. But what do you
Mhm.
make of first Russell Wilson not having a home? No one really seems to want him. It's all up in the air. What's your thought on that situation?
Yeah, I think, 4 months ago, actually probably 5 months ago now, everyone was thinking, wow, like, Steelers have to re-sign this guy. They're going on a winning streak with Russell Wilson. And then all of a sudden, what we talked about all year, that meaty part of the schedule came up and it just proved to be lackluster. And so that's really unfortunate for Russ. I think he's got plenty of talent to still start in the NFL for a team. But the problem is teams are looking for the future. And unfortunately, Russell Wilson doesn't have that long-term outlook left on his career anymore. And if you need a bridge guy, I don't want to say that he's, ironically falling into the Geno Smith type class. But that's kind of where he's going before he got re-signed, obviously, with Seattle. And I know he got traded whole deal, right? Or signed with the Raiders, whole deal. But yeah, unfortunately for Russell Wilson, this was his prove it year, and he had Arthur Smith as an offensive coordinator, and that sucks.
Yeah, he's also, 36 years old. I'm not sure how realistic he is on what he should cost. Like maybe he wants more than is really realistic to pay Russell Wilson. He
Yeah.
also he's not incredibly mobile. Like the things that made him great early in his career are not available as skill sets now. I'm not going to lie. I think the team he fits best in is Pittsburgh, actually. They added DK Metcalf. They've got George Pickens. Like they're a team that is really
Yeah.
set up to stretch the field and run the football. And like, I actually think Russell Wilson has a great deep ball still. Like that's one of the things he does best. And I'm like, man, it's weird and unfortunate. They don't seem to want to make that work with him. I'm like, okay, I think they want to go in a different direction and they're trying to court Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
I think Russ's strength is his deep ball. And like I said, with DK, who he's played with before, and George Pickens, like they would really challenge people vertically. They don't seem to want that though.
Yeah. I think we saw this towards that tail end of the season when Arthur Smith and Russell Wilson were clearly not on the same page about how the offense needed to be run. And what strangely, instead of opening up the playbook seemed to shrink kind of going down the stretch of the
Yeah.
season, which is very strange. Typically, you see more plays that have been developed. You see more dynamic route concepts. You see new wrinkles to the run game, all these different elements. And that never kind of arrived. And now the question is that because of a dispute? Is it because of Russ's ability, or is it because of Arthur Smith's offense? And since none of us are in that locker room, it's kind of hard for us to, make that determination. But just that marriage between offensive coordinator and quarterback didn't work. And so that's why he's looking for a new spot.
Also, after the year ended, there was a lot of he said, she said drama, rumors, and the coaching staff wanted to bench him, and Russ wasn't getting like you heard a lot from both sides clearly. So
Yep.
to me, the relationship is done. Like regardless of what I think is possible on the field, because again, I think Russ's style actually fits what the team they've built.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. These people don't want to work together anymore. So that's kind of done and out. What about Aaron Rodgers? Because he's kind of the other domino. I would really, I think Aaron wants to go to the Minnesota Vikings. I would really like to see that. First of all, because Brett Favre went from 16 years with Green Bay, then the Jets, and then the Vikings. How hilarious if Aaron Rodgers went 16 years Green Bay, then Jets, then Minnesota as well. That'd be hilarious. But on top of that, it's a really good team, ready to win. I really like JJ as a person. We know people that know him. They speak really highly of him, but I don't know what he can really do. I know Aaron Rodgers can play to some level. If I'm Aaron Rodgers, I'm like, dude, I'll pay you to be on your team. Like, I've made enough money. I'll pay you to have a chance to throw to these receivers and play in this offense with this new offensive line. What do you make of Aaron Rodgers? Pittsburgh seems to really want him. Minnesota's really hesitant. They don't really need him because they got a loaded roster. What do you make of Aaron?
Yeah, I don't think he wants to go to Pittsburgh. That's not a city that calls to Aaron Rodgers on a personal level, if we're being honest. I also think that the way the offense is being run isn't what he's accustomed to. You think about what he's had in terms of having Mike LaFleur as a head coach, previous to that, Mike McCarthy. Like, he wants a more, what do you want to call it? More explosive offense where there's a lot of dynamic run game, and he's got, maximum flexibility to do what he wants when it comes to the passing game. You're not going to get that with Arthur Smith. You're going to get play action, throw ball to guy far downfield. And that's pretty much it. When it comes to Minnesota, I really don't think it's a great fit. And I think it's because of Kevin O'Connell, right? He gets there. He's got Kirk Cousins. He thinks, okay, this might be my guy for a number of years. Ruptures the Achilles. Shoot, okay, now we got to start thinking about and looking at the future. You've got JJ McCarthy. Okay, he's got a season-ending injury. Now we got to rock with Sam Darnold. I think Kevin O'Connell has been trying for years to find his long-term guy. And bringing in Aaron Rodgers puts him another year away from doing that. It puts in more expectations, more frustrations, more eyeballs into your locker room when you're already trying to develop JJ McCarthy. Aaron Rodgers will not help mentor or will not help develop JJ McCarthy. And I don't think it's because he's a bad guy. I just don't think that's who Aaron is and how it's going to work. Right. And so if I'm Kevin O'Connell, I really don't want Aaron Rodgers in my locker room. And it's not because I don't think that he's more than capable of maybe performing even better than JJ McCarthy does. But JJ McCarthy's got to, for lack of a better term and kind of no pun intended, he's got to get some scars of his own out in the NFL. And if he has Aaron Rodgers sitting in front of him, it's just not going to work. I see a team more like Tennessee making a move for Aaron Rodgers and or Russell Wilson, to be quite frank with you, more than I see them going to either Pittsburgh or the Vikings.
Yeah, I think with Aaron, the expectations are different, right? First of all, I think Aaron can still play. I want to make that very clear. I watched some Jets film. Like, he's not awful. He's doing some good stuff.
He was playing very well towards the end of the season.
And I think he watched the final two games of the year Minnesota played, one at Detroit, then one against the Rams, and said, I can play better than that. I could win this playoff game. I could get, like, I think maybe Aaron
can he? Because he's had the opportunity to show that he can, and he just gets waxed in the NFC Championship by the Niners every year. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think from Aaron's perspective, though, he sees a loaded team in Minnesota. He wants it. I also think another moving target here is, hey, is JJ McCarthy going to be healthy week one? Like, is he actually going to be ready to go for week one? Or is he going to be more ready week 6 or 7? And I don't know, because maybe bring Russell Wilson in to start 6 games to start the year and then transition midseason. Maybe that's the answer. If that's the case, though, the risk of bringing Aaron Rodgers, and I think there's a greater risk with doing this with Aaron than doing this with Russell Wilson. Yeah. Aaron runs the risk of screwing up the development of JJ McCarthy, and that you can't mess with. And I think that's what Minnesota's trying to figure out right now is what's the cost of bringing in Aaron, not financially, but to the locker room, to JJ McCarthy, to our future.
Yeah.
Is it worth a short-term gain for maybe a long-term problem? And I don't know that Minnesota wants to touch Aaron Rodgers with a 10-foot pole, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I do think the story would be fun. I think he could actually win some games there. And I'm like, I'm kind of, I don't know. Minnesota is not into that. I would like the drama and the fun storyline of that.
Yeah, I hear that.
PrizePicks is the best place to get real money action on sports in more than 30 states, including California, Texas, and Georgia. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, PrizePicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. On PrizePicks, you can mix and match player projections from different sports. Combine your favorite basketball players with players from baseball, hockey, esports, and much more. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your money. Run your game all season long on PrizePicks because PrizePicks puts their members first. So all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When my picks hit, I can get my money in as quick as 15 minutes. PrizePicks offers Venmo, Apple Pay, MasterCard, and more for quick and easy deposits into your account this sports season. The second half of basketball season is here, and the race to the playoffs is heating up on PrizePicks, the best place to cash in on your favorite sports. Download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, run your game.
You have to be careful with Aaron Rodgers now because of what he brings into the locker room. He's kind of his own little ticking time bomb. You don't know when something's going to happen. You don't know how it's going to happen, but you know that it's going to cause some ruffles in your locker room. But yeah, I mean, and a lot of the quarterback situations are kind of spoken for, right now. And I know that there's some stuff up in the air, but I don't think he goes to the Giants. I don't think he goes somewhere like New England because they've already got Drake May, kind of that same void. Carolina, like Bryce Young kind of turned it up towards the end of the year. So that kind of closes the door there. New Orleans maybe is really another available spot. But outside of that, like you're not looking at a lot of options to come in and start for a guy like Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
As great as he is.
I think it's down to Pittsburgh or Minnesota. I think Tennessee is going to draft Cameron Ward with the first pick. It's pretty clear. Yeah. I wonder if the Browns are going to do anything or not. I'm really not sure there. But it looks like, Sanders is going to Minnesota, the Giants or to Cleveland. And it's just I'm not really sure what's going to happen yet there. One team got their quarterback, and I don't know that I like this move. It's Aaron Rodgers' former team. They signed Justin Fields to a 2-year, $40 million contract, $30 million guaranteed. Hey, one thing. First of all, good for Justin Fields. Like good getting paid, I guess, right? And if you're going to have a starting quarterback, that's definitely a bargain, kind of, in today's world. Is that a good move, though? Is Justin Fields the right guy for the Jets? Like, what? That's a weird move. What do you make of that?
Cool. It's literally I'm happy for Justin Fields. Like you said, I've got no idea what to expect from him. I don't think we've seen the best of Justin Fields. I think we've seen a version of Justin Fields that we've become accustomed to, and we've decided that that's his peak. But I do still think that there's more for him to unlock, and in terms of his capabilities as a passer and going through progressions, I feel like if you gave him more of a leash like Josh Allen to be more of an instinctual player versus first read, second read, third read, check down, maybe he's going to have a different experience. I don't know anything about Tanner Engstrand, who's the new offensive coordinator there. I know he was a passing game coordinator with the Lions, so maybe he's got some Ben Johnson type philosophies to kind of bring to the New York Jets. But there's just still a lot of question marks. What is Justin Fields' actual ability in terms of throwing the football? Again, I'm going to give him grace. He had to deal with Arthur Smith. You know how I feel. I think Arthur Smith's a football terrorist. So when it comes down to it, it's a big question mark. It's just a big question mark.
It's really a 1-year deal because it's $15 million signing bonus, then $5 million this year with another year for 10 next year. Like, it's not that crazy of a contract, really. I guess it's 20 million next year. What am I saying? So 15 plus 5 is 20, and then another 20. Regardless, though, it's it doesn't feel crazy to me. It really is like, like I saw Sam Darnold get $100 million. I saw Dak Prescott get crazy money. I've seen Trevor Lawrence get insane contract money. I've seen Tua get an insane amount of money. Like Justin Fields, as far as a guy to start week one, that's really cheap actually, and gives you ability to pay a lot of other people around him. I'm not sold that Justin Fields is a lost cause. That's probably
I don't think
wishful
so either.
thinking, but I'm open to the idea that he's good. I really or does something positive in New York. I don't know that. I'm not betting on that. I'm hopeful for that though, and there is a difference that I'm skeptical but optimistic.
Yeah, very much skeptical, very much optimistic, very much going to Costco, getting a sample. It's chocolate covered something. You bite into it. Turns out it's a chocolate covered pickle. You're like, oh, wow, that's fantastic. Like, I like the chocolate, but I don't really know if I like that saltiness of the pickle.
Is that a thing? I hope that's a thing.
Undecided. No idea. It just kind of came to me.
I would try it. I would. I don't know if I'd like it. I would try a chocolate covered pickle.
It was a Bill Walton moment.
Another Jets quarterback from the past. There's a lot of them. Which one do you think I'm going to say next?
Your guess is as good as mine.
This free agency period's been basically like every Jets quarterback getting some kind of money somewhere. Let's start with Zach Wilson actually getting a 1-year contract with the Dolphins. Not the one you were thinking of, guys. Zach Wilson failed at the Jets, went to Denver, played 1 year under Sean Payton. I think probably grew a lot. It's hard not to with that coaching staff playing with Bo Nix and Sean Payton. Tua gets hurt a lot. Tua is often unavailable in Miami. I wonder what's going to happen when inevitably Zach Wilson gets some kind of opportunity in Miami. I think he can play. Like, he's talented, certainly, Zach Wilson. I don't think he had good habits. I think he was irresponsible with the football. But maybe a year with Sean Payton. Sam Darnold took a year and learned a lot playing behind Brock Purdy. Maybe something similar can happen for Zach Wilson, that when he gets a shot in Miami, he does something. What do you make of that? I'm just like, let's put a little like turn the corner down on this page and revisit it like in October next year. But I'm like, Zach Wilson did go there. That's fascinating to me. What do you make of that?
Yeah, he's going through the 5 stages of quarterback rehab right now. First, you have to start for the Jets. Then you have to get benched. Then you go sit you sit with a quality head coach being Sean Payton, kind of taking out all of the, what do you want to call it? The strange decision-making, poor decision-making, not taking care of the football. You get that coached out of you. Then you go to a high-faith coach, a guy like Mike McDaniel, who's going to literally love you as a player, feed you the confidence. And then that 5th part will be what happens when he starts. So he's in stage 4 right now. He's with a coach who's going to give him faith, let him know that the team believes in him. And when that moment comes, he's going to be ready to step up. What it looks like, I think it's going to look pretty good. I think he's got a lot of arm talent. And I think if he's now in his 2nd year of a very well-structured system, 2 more years of learning how to be a pro, I think we'll see success from him. Now, again, you're sitting behind Tua. You're not going to get a lot of opportunities. We're not all of a sudden going to see him throw for 2,500 yards this year, kind of in that backup spot. But I think that Miami did a great thing addressing how bad their backup quarterback play has been for the better part of the last 4 years and really throughout Tua's career.
Yeah, it's kind of a roll of the dice that, hey, Mike McDaniel's a great coach. He's a talented player. Can the great coach pull good play out of a talented player?
Right.
If called upon. And I'm like, you know what? We'll wait and see. It really is crazy. Well, looking at my list, if I may, it's Jet quarterback after Jet quarterback after Jet quarterback after Jet. It's like the Jets' name is all over the list of quarterbacks that are available this offseason. And it's like,
so what does it say about how bad
the Jets are?
Yeah, what's not working? But the good news is there's plenty of moms available to Zach Wilson down in Florida. I'm sure he's going to have a great time.
Remember, he was a BYU Cougar, guys. Now, the Jets, another former Jets quarterback, Sam Darnold, signed a 3-year, $100 million contract with Seattle. And to pair along with this, by the way, they traded away DK Metcalf. We should revisit DK going to Pittsburgh. But they brought in, so at first I was like, oh crap, Sam Darnold going from a loaded roster to a team with Jackson Smith and Jigba and like a former Iowa tight end that's done nothing, okay, we'll see, I guess. They add Cooper Kupp, which is not DK Metcalf, but Cooper Kupp, I'll hold my breath and see what happens, I guess. It's certainly something in the receiving room, better than, I know, some scrub off the street.
Yeah.
What do you make of what Seattle's done? Sam Darnold, I think with Sam Darnold, by the way, he's younger. He's a little cheaper than Geno.
Yeah.
Comparably good, about the same, probably on the field. What do you make of what Seattle did?
Yeah, I think that they got a great contract for Sam Darnold, right? Everyone was talking about, oh, you got to pay him in the fives. Then all of a sudden, some cracks, you got to pay him in the fours, and then inevitably settling somewhere in the threes, right? So great for Sam Darnold to, again, get that next level of prove it contract. But I think what this speaks to is the changes that McDonald wants to make in Seattle. And that's, I'm tired of Ryan Grubb throwing the ball 50 times a game. I'm going to bring in Clint Kubiak, a Shanahan system guy who wants to run the football. I've got Kenneth Walker and I've got Zach Charbonnet, two excellent power backs. So I'm going to punch you in the mouth all night. I want to run the ball with them, and then the passing game we'll figure out. You've got Jackson Smith and Jigba and Cooper. I'm sorry, not Amari Cooper. You've got Cooper Kupp, two guys who are great at getting open, and Sam Darnold's a guy who can deliver the football. I think they're going to lean heavy on the run game and really try and make that be the feature, and then let that defense that was coming on really strong start to even things out and play more complementary football. But I think it was just a clear message. We don't want to throw the ball 40, 50 times a game anymore.
Yeah, I don't think I would do that with Sam Darnold.
No, exactly. And you don't want to do that with Sam Darnold. You don't want to do it really with any quarterback if you can. But yeah, I just think that was what they wanted to do. Like Geno Smith likes to throw the football. McDonald was like, hey, let's keep it out of the air, limit some turnovers, control the clock, protect our defense. And that's the direction that they want to go. So very excited for Sam Darnold. I think he's going to have, I don't want to say a regression because I think that he played kind of out of his mind last year. So he will take a step back, but not in a negative way. I just don't think it's going to look quite as amazing as it did last year. I think it'll look amazing in spots. And then other spots, like you've seen, he gets under a little bit of pressure. He's just erratic under pressure. And I think that's still his biggest problem. He doesn't know always where to go when it comes time to beat the blitz. And even when he does, sometimes he doesn't deliver it accurately. So if he can't overcome that, again, you're going to see some up and you're going to see some down.
It's also a 1-year deal, really. I mean, it's 3 years, $100 million. But if after year one it's bad, they can cut him, and they'll only have paid him $37.5 million, and they walk away. So Sam gets paid something. If he plays well, he makes more. If it goes bad next year in Seattle, they can eject and get out of there and walk away. Really, only with 1 year as a loss. It's actually not a bad contract. Everyone kind of wins here with the Sam Darnold contract. He's got possibility to make good money, and the Seahawks protect themselves from being stuck long-term with a guy that may or may not work.
Can we think about how crazy that money is? We can cut him. He'll make only $37 million. Like, I'll play a year, $37 million. You cut me? Fine.
Yeah.
I'm out. I'm done. $37 million? Come on, man.
Yeah, set for life. I mean, I think he's probably made about that much take-home pay probably throughout his career so far. I don't know how much of that's in the bank, but like, this probably doubles the amount of money he's made take-home pay in his career this year alone, and he's set for life. I mean, he can do whatever he wants at this point, which is I like Sam. I'm really happy. Remember, Sam was in the same class as us. We went to some camps with him.
Yep.
I like Sam. I'm rooting for him. Kind of cool. Factor meal kits can make your life simpler and more easy. Let Factor take shopping, prepping, cooking, and cleaning up off your daily list of things to do. With 40 options across 8 dietary preferences on the menu each week, it's easy to pick meals tailored to your goals. Choose from preferences like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, or Keto. By the way, their juice and smoothie options are really, really good. Oh, and check this out. Factor is cheaper than takeout and dining out. Factor can help you reach your nutrition goals, and most importantly, Factor can provide high-quality food that's ready to eat quickly. Eat smart with Factor. Get started at factormeals.com/FactorPodcast and use code FactorPodcast to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. That's code FactorPodcast at factormeals.com/FactorPodcast to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. Cooper Kupp, 3 years, $45 million. Hasn't played a full season since 2021, 2023. Let me look it up. I think it's 21. It's been a while since Cooper Kupp had a full, true...
Since their Super Bowl run, I believe.
Yeah, Cooper Kupp, his last time playing a full season was in 2021. That's that year he had, 1,900 yards, 145 catches. He's been
Triple
injured ever since then, basically. What's Cooper Kupp bring to Seattle? I know at his best, he finds space. He can win vertically. I don't know that he's the same athlete he once was. What do you make
Yeah.
of Cooper Kupp?
Yeah, just reliability for Sam Darnold. And not that it's a familiar face, but it's a guy who you can count on to be there in the morning, getting the other guys in the facility. So even if it's not the most elite Cooper Kupp that we're ever going to see, he's going to bring a veteran presence to the locker room. And again, like I think I love what McDonald is doing. Every decision feels very intentional because it's not just about, oh, let me get best player to do best job to win. Like he's really trying to build a structure and a foundation, leaning on the defense, leaning on the run game, and then bringing in a veteran wide receiver who comes from a no block, no rock type system. Get
Yeah.
Jackson Smith and Jigba blocking. Get whoever you bring in to replace DK Metcalf blocking. Just a lot of little things and a lot of learning how to be a professional. I think that Cooper Kupp can bring to this team to help take them to another level. And again, that's not going to discount. I still think that he's more than capable of having 1,000 yards this year. I think 850 is probably a more realistic target because I think Jackson Smith and Jigba should be the target. But yeah, I think Cooper Kupp's going to be a great fit. He's an easy fit. He's a plug and play kind of receiver.
I like what you mentioned about leadership in the morning, rallying guys. That's what Adam Thielen has been in Carolina recently, actually. Like, he's not what he once was, but he's a leader. We love him. He's professional, does all the little stuff right, and he plays pretty well. Like, and that's kind of what you want. If that's what he brings to Seattle, that's a win.
Just like Cooper.
do you think they could play a similar role, though? Cooper Kupp, Adam Thielen? Is there a comparison to be had there?
Yeah, I think a little bit on that veteran side, right? You're kind of moving out of the prime. I think that Adam Thielen probably had brighter days when he first got to Carolina than Cooper Kupp has now. But yeah, it's that veteran presence. It's being comfortable for your quarterback, and that's what we saw right from Adam Thielen. That first year with Bryce Young starting, Bryce Young was like, all right, where's Adam Thielen? Where's Adam Thielen? I'm throwing the ball to him. If you can be like that for your quarterback, and again, not that Sam Darnold's the same as Bryce Young in terms of their experience, but yeah, if you can just be the guy for your quarterback to throw the ball to, know where he's going to be, he knows what's going on, it's a comforting feeling.
Yeah, I'll tell you, as a quarterback, to know, hey, this guy is going to be where I expect him on third down, that kind of stuff, like that alone, being kind of a security blanket for Sam Darnold could be a huge home run. If that's all, if that's all Cooper Kupp ever is, it's like, hey, he's my third down guy.
And the smaller story, but still a big story, right? Like Cooper Kupp is from Washington, went to Eastern Washington, going back home to Seattle. It'll be exciting for him and probably really comforting to have some Pacific Northwest rain.
Oh yeah, yeah, and no state income tax. Which moving from California to Washington, what a change that's going to be.
Yeah, which he's about to be taking home a lot more. And again, I'll tell you what, guys, I love the Pacific Northwest. I don't get along with the weather, but like a March evening, the rain's falling and it's just peaceful and it's quiet. Oh, it's hard to beat. It really is hard to beat.
So like tonight, literally.
Is rain falling out there tonight?
Yeah, it's exactly. It's middle of March. It's light rain, little drizzle. I went for a walk earlier.
Yeah, that little spring rain. But I like it when it gets just a little bit heavier when you're falling asleep. Not the winter. The winter rains are just kind of but that March rain, sign me up.
Yeah. No, dude, that's it's beautiful. It really is. I want to talk about another, one more former Jets quarterback, Geno Smith. Seattle traded him to the Raiders. Now, here's where I land on this. I want to hear what you think of this. I like the move. I think Geno is an upgrade for the Raiders at quarterback. He helps them win now. I really like that the Raiders, they re-signed Max Crosby, bring in Chip Kelly, bring in Pete Carroll. Like, they are trying to win. They're signaling to their fan base, hey, we're not going to tuck our tail between our legs and suck for like 5 years. We're going to try to win immediately and make noise in our really tough division. So I like the move. And I do think Geno is an upgrade. I think he's an underappreciated quarterback because I've seen him on his best day. He makes some really tough throws into really small windows that are like, yo, that was a hell of a ball. So what do you make of Geno going to the Raiders? Because I like it, but I'm not sure I think I'm alone in that thought. Like, yeah, I'm pretty optimistic about this one. It's not forever. He's not their 10-year quarterback, but certainly he's better right now.
Yeah, he's a little bit more than a bridge quarterback. He's the bridge and he's helping set up the foundation for your town, right?
Yeah.
The great thing about Geno Smith is, number one, he's capable of throwing the football a lot. and you've got two great weapons in Jacoby Myers and Brock Bowers, who I think he's going to be able to feed the ball to more consistently than that combo of Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew that they had last year, right? You're getting that veteran presence. You're getting a change up in offensive coordinator with Chip Kelly. I'm not sure what, this next run in the NFL looks like in terms of his offense. But I'd like to think that the way the college game is kind of seeping into the NFL, particularly for guys like Jaden Daniels, maybe there are a few things that he can bring to this Raiders offense to kind of change it up a little bit. So for Geno Smith, excited for him to, number one, get another contract. He didn't just completely fizzle out. We know it's not the final destination for the Raiders, if you will. But I think it's a massive, massive upgrade on the offensive side of the football. And we can expect, if they're able to pick up a running back here, that offense actually move pretty solid. But they're still quite a few pieces away from, even attempting to make the playoffs in that AFC West division. But they are, like you said, making the strides to officially turn the ship around. Not just hiring a head coach, paying a lot of money and say we're turning it around, but there have been a lot of strong decisions made to reflect that.
Yeah, I think it's very clear that Pete Carroll's not going to be the head coach in Vegas for like the next 10, 15 years. His days are numbered. And it's the same with Geno Smith. There's like an understanding he's going to help us win right now and figure out our foundation. It's not forever. I think he's going to sign a bigger contract than people realize. We're waiting right now on what that contract extension looks like. He's going to sign for more money than Sam Darnold. It's going to be, but from a Raiders perspective, man, like you just can't be terrible at quarterback. You brought in Pete Carroll, you brought in Chip Kelly. You're trying to stabilize the situation. You need a quarterback week one and throughout the year who's going to show up and be a professional and put good stuff on the field. That is Geno. Whether you think he's overpaid or not, he's going to put them in a position to be competitive and have a chance in most of their games. And like that's such an upgrade over what they've had in Vegas for the last couple of years. And I think Pete Carroll's making a statement that like, look, we just got to not be terrible. We really want to compete. And it's going to be a different kind of rebuild where we're not going to be, dragging our fans through years of waiting. We're going to try to win immediately. And I just really appreciate that.
You want to know what the big plan is? 2 years, Pete Carroll's out. Chip Kelly gets promoted. Chip Kelly drafts Dante Moore, who we had at UCLA his freshman year. Dante Moore, now presumed starting quarterback at the University of Oregon, plays 2 strong years, gets drafted to the Raiders. I think that's the big plot.
It's something like that. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked at all. Pete Carroll is kind of preparing for the day to transition to Chip Kelly. But also, I really like that too. I don't know if I like Pete Carroll as head coach, but I like the Pete Carroll hiring Chip Kelly as an offensive coordinator move because for years, the knock on Pete Carroll was he couldn't get a great offensive coordinator. Say what you want about Chip Kelly. I thought he was a questionable head coach of the Eagles, but his offense was competitive. And
offense is working.
Like he does have a knack. He's a great play caller. He's a great scheme designer. Like he has a feel and an understanding of the offensive side of the football better than any offensive coordinator Pete Carroll's ever had in his time as a head coach. And it's like, finally, like he should have done that years ago. Overpay a guy to come be his OC.
Yep.
I do wonder. I mean, I think Chip Kelly's hungry to be a head coach again. I hope he's not. I hope it's more like Vic Fangio, where you can recognize, look, man, being a head coach, I did it in the NFL. I did it in college, UCLA. Because he took a demotion. He left UCLA intentionally from being head coach to be offensive coordinator at Ohio State. Because he's like, I don't want to deal with being head coach anymore. If that's his attitude for the foreseeable future and he's not hungry to become a head coach again, I think that'll serve him really well. Because he's definitely a guy that should be a coordinator more than head coach. Kind of like Vic Fangio, the incredible defensive coordinator in Philly.
Yeah. I just think he jumped, not to make this all about Chip Kelly here. I think that he jumped ship from UCLA at the right time, right? Writing was on the wall. They're moving into the Big Ten. They probably don't belong, not just geographically, but in terms of ability to recruit, get guys in. And I think that he saw Ohio State open up as an opportunity to make himself more visible, to give himself a chance for the NFL again. And I think that's what he did. So I think the ambitions are still there to be a head coach. I think that, sometimes you got to take a step back to take a step forward, like that old adage. I think that that's what he did.
I saw a move that just happened in the receiver world. Former We talk about the Jets a lot. We talk about the Raiders, former Raiders and Jets wide receiver, former Aaron Rodgers teammate Davante Adams signed a 2-year, $44 million deal with the Rams. I like it. I think it helps the Rams stay competitive. Certainly, that's a strong replacement for Cooper Kupp. But I know you know receivers better than I do. What do you make of Davante Adams going to the Rams? Because I was surprised. I didn't think they were going to shell out that kind of money for a receiver. If they're going to get rid of Cooper Kupp, they're not going to bring another veteran receiver, right? But they did. So what do you make of that?
I really don't know what to make of it. Again, I think it's a win for the Rams regardless, but they made it clear that they wanted Puka Nacua to kind of be the guy.
Sure.
To me, Puka already has a relatively mature game in terms of how he uses his body. I think maybe Davante Adams can help him develop his game in terms of understanding what the defense is doing to better set yourself up. And maybe that's kind of like the 1-2 combo, 1-2 punch that they're looking for. I don't think Davante Adams is going to demand a lot of targets. And I know that, Stafford's not a guy who's shy to give a guy one target or all the targets if he wants to. He did that with Cooper Kupp earlier in the career. He did that with obviously Calvin Johnson way back in the day. I'm curious what that dynamic is going to look like more so than anything. I think it's going to work. Davante Adams has kind of proven that he can produce even in the worst of circumstances. So yeah, that offense is going to look different, but is he going to invest in the run game? Sean McVay cares about his wide receivers digging people out in the run game. Is he going to step up to do that? And then again, what's that target share going to look like? Because you've got those two. You'll have Tutu Atwell kind of being your I don't want to say like your gadget guy, but you're kind of take him off the top guy. It'll be interesting, to say the least.
This will be year 12 for Davante Adams, and
It's a long 12.
Argue.
I feel like he's had a long 12 years.
Aaron in his prime is pretty amazing. This might be the best quarterback he's played with. I mean, I don't know if you can MVP Aaron Rodgers, maybe not. Maybe it's a silly thought, but of all the places he could have gone, it's pretty dang good for like his ability to generate numbers, build on the legacy of his career, stuff like that. At this point in his life, where he could have gone, it would have been. I thought Kansas City would have been a better, more exciting place for him to build a legacy. I wanted that personally.
World would have hated that.
Oh yeah, but I think he also, part of it is like, man, I want to live in LA. I want to be on the West Coast. I want to make a lot of money. He's doing that, playing with a great quarterback. Like he's going to have a good life in LA. And I think when you're in year 12, that kind of stuff also matters. Like you don't want to go be cold in Kansas City, Missouri, and just,
And the Rams were, a couple plays away, a Saquon Barkley run away from maybe making it to that NFC Championship game, or was it the divisional game? I can't remember.
They lost to Philly 28-22, and they had, I think, the ball late. And I'm sure the pitch, when they were recruiting and trying to bring in Davante Adams, like, look, we were right here. You make the difference. You want to win a Super Bowl? I'm sure they were saying that. Whether that's true or not, I'm not sure, but I'm sure they were pushing that narrative.
Yeah, and so, the Rams defense will be a year older. Another draft, another free agency, another offseason to add a couple more pieces, get stronger. Offense, again, with Sean McVay, you're never particularly worried. So the team is coming together. But yeah, what does that target share? What does that target split look like?
We talked about a receiver. Let's do another one. DK Metcalf, traded to Pittsburgh, got a 5-year, $150 million contract. I consider myself a Steelers fan, which I just want him to get the quarterback right. Honestly, I was worried about George Pickens' emotional outburst last year, and now we added another receiver with emotional outbursts. And I'm like, oh, we're doubling down on pure emotion, huh? Like, what do you make of George Pickens and DK Metcalf now both in Pittsburgh? And what do you make of the contract? Is that a bad move? Is that dumb? I know DK didn't have his most productive year. I do think he is a vertical threat. I think he really challenges defenses with his ability, his speed. What does he bring, and what do you make of that move?
Yeah, both those guys, more so DK, I think, than George Pickens, are always one play away from a touchdown if you get it in their hands. I think they both serve the same role, which to me is interesting. Are they going to try and use Pickens a little bit more in the slot? Because both of them really are truly backside X wide receivers. I don't see either of these guys being particularly dynamic to play, front side Z or to play slot or to, run like double slot and take the tight end off the field. I don't think they're particularly suited to do that. Now, looking at this Arthur Smith offense, that's not what they do, right? We know that they just go play action, close your eyes, throw it deep downfield. That could be a big win. Throw it to both of them in the same area and then have them do a jump ball against each other. Maybe there's a safety in there. I don't know. But I don't love it for the Steelers. I think that there's better ways that they could have spent their money. But what I do think, because I think even from the draft, and this goes back to years ago when I was still working at Dick's Sporting Goods, I remember talking about DK Metcalf sort of being one-dimensional. I haven't seen him add a lot to his game, if we're being honest. He still makes the same kind of plays that he did when he was a rookie. And not to say that not adding to his game has made him bad. I would have liked to have seen more development in terms of his route tree, right? This offense with Arthur Smith, I think, can work. But yeah, how do I say this for the Steelers? It's a good sign that they're spending money on offense at least a little bit here, right? Because what they've been known for is being the highest spenders on defense every single year, and then just having a potato of an offense. So at least it says, hey, we're spending some money elsewhere. I just would have gone with like a left tackle first, or drafted a wide receiver, because the Steelers have always been great at drafting wide receivers. I'm sure it'll be just fine. Again, DK Metcalf is an unbelievable talent. But yeah, you're just going to have a few more 15-yard penalties throughout the game. And you're going to have to deal with it, not just from one guy, but two guys.
That's what they need. More penalties, more emotional outbursts.
Yeah, but and also that's kind of what Mike Tomlin's known for, right? Run to coaching, not run away from coaching. I know that you love that quote from him. So
yeah, I do.
Can he help connect and connect with whatever that aggressive spirit that DK kind of has? Can he help tamper that down and help DK realize his true potential?
I think he could certainly bring the best out of DK. I mean, I do believe that. You know what the underrated move I would make, and my favorite quarterback in the draft is not one that's going to be a top pick. Well, first of all, Cameron Ward is my favorite quarterback in the draft, but he's not available to a team like anyone other than Tennessee, in my opinion. I really love Cam Ward.
Yeah, I know you do.
I think the surprise, the intriguing target is Jalen Milroe. Like, I really think someone's going to draft him in the second or third round, and there's something there. I really would love to coach him. I'd love to work with him. And I wonder, does Pittsburgh draft someone like Jalen Milroe in the second or third round and hold on to him for a couple of years and see what happens? Because he's just got some ability that you don't see every day at the quarterback position. I don't think I'd make him a starting quarterback week one, nothing crazy like that. But maybe 3 years from now, he's developed in a position that he could play. A la Jalen, I don't think he's Jalen Hurts, but a similar story. Like, you can get a guy in a later round to develop into a starter. Now, Jalen Hurts was more prepared. Remember, Heisman Trophy candidate, like a 5-year starting quarterback, blah, blah, blah. It's not the same. I don't like that comparison directly, but I certainly see some value later in the draft that other people aren't paying attention to with Jalen Milroe.
Sorry, I've got my cat underneath me. Just messing with my legs. I'm sorry. I know you like Jalen Milroe, and I have never said this about a quarterback prospect and meant it. Quarterback might not be his position. You talk about there's things that he can do that other quarterbacks can't. There's also an equal amount, if not more, that most quarterbacks can do that he doesn't. It's the feet, it's the eyes, it's the motion, it's the decision making. It's all of those things that kind of encompass what makes a quarterback, and especially an NFL quarterback, great. And I feel like he's lacking in too many areas to eventually become a starter. Sure. Is he an unbelievable athlete? Yes. Can he be a great quarterback at the college level? Yes, there's a lot of different guys that can. But in terms of delivering on an NFL level, I don't think it's there. Right? We saw this offense, and again, Michael Penix had another year to do it at Washington. He had 2 years, but we saw what it looks like when Michael Penix runs Kalen DeBoer's offense, and what it looks like when Jalen Milroe runs the offense. And it's not like he didn't have weapons. And it was the regression towards the end of the year. To me, I think that really, give me 1 second, that really just kind of made it a bitter pill for me to swallow in terms of seeing him as an NFL quarterback.
There is nothing like being in the building for a meaningful game of basketball. So let Gametime take the guesswork out of buying tickets. Here's what Gametime does for you. The Gametime Picks feature allows for curation that makes it easier to save more on sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and other events. They have all-in pricing, which is a feature that makes sure there are no surprise fees at checkout. You can get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy. And Gametime has a lowest price guarantee, or Gametime will credit you 110% of the difference. Plus, Gametime has ticket coverage where your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets, download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem with the code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download Gametime today. What time is it? Gametime. You are right in that the thing I love most about Jalen Milroe is his ability to run. And it's just it's a rare trait other guys don't have. I also, I hear what you're saying. Like, he doesn't have the ability on an NFL level to read defenses or go through progressions. I agree with you on all that. He does throw a hell of a deep ball, though. Like, I have a hard time walking away from that much potential. He's not a finished product. He's got a lot to work with, though, and I'd love to work with him and mold him and coach him. I really would.
Yeah.
And I wonder if some coach is going to see that and try to work with him in that aspect, or just say, look, I don't know. I really wonder how the NFL views Jalen Milroe, because I think there's something there if you want to tap into it. Like, maybe the Rams draft him and Sean McVay works with him for 2 years behind Stafford, but I just wouldn't give up on Jalen Milroe, and I think he's talented. I also want to acknowledge, as much as I love Pittsburgh, they don't have the infrastructure or coaching staff to develop a raw talent like that. The same, like Sean McVay could do that and really prepare themselves to transition from Matthew Stafford to Jalen Milroe 3-4 years from now. I don't think the Pittsburgh have the capability from a coaching standpoint to help a quarterback develop like they would need to with Jalen Milroe.
Yeah, I hear that. The last guy that, hear me out.
Yeah.
Actually, let me ask you a question. Who do you think was more prepared coming out of college, Jalen Milroe or Anthony Richardson?
Oh, man. Probably Jalen Milroe, because at least he's played for more than 1 year.
Right. And you think that they both have that potential. And my point is accuracy is huge in the NFL. And it's very rare that quarterbacks get more accurate as they get into the NFL, right? Because those windows shrink, and occasionally you'll see like a 1 or 2 point percentage, but going from low 60, sub 60 to being someone who's throwing, upper 60s to 70s where you need to be in the NFL, tough.
Yeah. I think it's Sean McVay, someone like that, who is kind of a quarterback whisperer, gets their hands on him, lets him sit for a couple of years. You never know. That's all I'm saying. I mean,
Yeah.
I
think you're right. He is immensely talented.
But
I
I also
think it
don't,
could be somewhere else.
as we talk it through, like, that's not a fit for Pittsburgh. They shouldn't take that on, because they can't even figure out a starting quarterback, let alone like developing a young guy.
That's very true.
A former Steeler, Najee Harris, signed a contract with the LA Chargers, 1 year, $5.25 million. I like this deal. I don't think he ever developed into the back Pittsburgh wanted. I think the Chargers view him as a guy they can put a lot of carries on. He's going to fit really well with what Jim Harbaugh wants to do running the football in LA. What do you make of that signing? It's small, like not a huge one in the scale of the NFL, but one that I think could pay off big time for the LA Chargers.
Yeah, I think what you see is Jim Harbaugh bringing John Harbaugh's kind of philosophy to the AFC West, right? You load up on running backs, so now you have J.K. Dobbins and Najee Harris, right? J.K. Dobbins did a great job last year, got injured up a little bit in there. But again, the focus is going to be running the football and allowing Justin Herbert's arm to be as talented as it is, kind of only when you need to, right? So I just think it's a great addition. I don't think it's a small addition by any means. I think it's absolutely massive for them to have a second running back like that. Get Najee Harris running straight downhill. I don't think they have a back with home run speed, which to me is a problem. However, it plays into the exact style of offense that Jim Harbaugh is going to want to run. Tough, physical, hard-mouth football, and then let Justin Herbert be special when he needs to be special.
I want to peacefully correct you. J.K. Dobbins is being, courted right now by the Broncos and the Raiders. He did not get retained by the
Oh,
Chargers. So they
oh my
Najee
goodness, this
Harris
is
is
news
J.K.
to me.
Dobbins' direct replacement. They're really trying to,
Okay,
I think, find a younger, hopefully healthier replacement with Najee Harris.
okay. And then what about the Gus Bus? What's he up to?
Gus
Looks
is
like
out. So if
he's
you look at their roster, it's Kamani Vidal, Hassan Haskins, Jarrett Patterson, and Najee Harris. That's their running back room right now, the
wow,
LA
what a
Chargers.
change.
So
What a
they're
change.
restarting, but they're going to run the football a ton and do their best. I think
Yeah,
they
I'll
do.
take it.
I think they would give Najee Harris a 2-year contract if they could, but he wants to try to prove it in 1 year and get a bigger contract. I think that's why it's a 1-year deal, $5 million, not like 2-year 12 or something like that.
I can respect that. Oh yeah, a week ago, Gus Edwards was released. How did I miss all of this? Putting my prep together. Holy shit! All right, well, it's a change up, but here's what we love: we love physical running of the football with Najee Harris, and that motherfucker physical.
Here's the thing. We earn points on groceries, travel, and practically everything else we buy. But we should also be earning points on rent. That's one of our biggest monthly expenses. Bilt changed the game by letting renters earn high value points on rent and around their neighborhood. There's no cost to join Bilt, and as a member, you'll earn valuable points on rent and on your everyday spending. Bilt points can be transferred to your favorite hotels and airlines, even the ones you haven't heard of. There are over 500 airlines and 700,000 hotels and properties around the world you can redeem your Bilt points toward. Points can also be redeemed toward a future rent payment and unique experiences that only Bilt members can access. So if you're not earning points on rent, my question is, why not? Start earning points on rent you're already paying by going to joinbilt.com/SOS. That's joinbilt.com/SOS. Make sure you use our URL so they know we sent you. Joinbilt.com/SOS to start earning points on your rent payments today. joinbilt.com/SOS. Joinbilt.com/SOS. I think I'm going to call this episode the highest paid ever because there's a trend happening in the NFL that I'm so sick of. It's like, this is the highest paid guard we've ever had in the NFL. It's the highest paid cornerback we've ever had in the NFL. It's like, well, yeah, it's also the highest salary cap we've ever had. Everybody, it's the cost of inflation. Everything's more expensive than it's ever been, and there's more money than ever before. So I saw Derek Stingley sign a 3-year, $90 million contract. Great for him. I love that. But everyone's saying, well, it's the highest, it's the biggest contract that cornerbacks ever had. It's like, well, yeah, that's the nature of the era right now of the salary cap.
Yeah,
What do you make of that move by the Houston Texans?
great that you're paying him early, right? Great that you're paying Stingley early. Good for him. But yeah, like that needle of highest paid is always going to keep moving, right? It's whoever gets paid in the next cycle, who gets paid in the next cycle, who gets paid in the next cycle. I mean, how many years in a row have we had the new highest paid quarterback, right? It's not unique to quarterbacks that this happens. It happens all over the league. My question is do you believe that he is as good or better than your guys like Pat Surtain, like J.C. Horn, who also got a big contract from the Panthers? Is he better than a Denzel Ward, better than a Trayvon Diggs? I think that he's better than a couple of those guys that I kind of listed there towards the bottom. But yeah, good for him. They've got the money to spend CJ Stroud on that rookie contract. They won't end up having to pay Tank Dell more than likely now that he's going to have another season-ending injury. They'll probably move on from him. So in other words, like some money opened up, and I'm happy for him to have it. You know, one of the things that you want to have on your defense, you want to have a great pass rusher, great interior guy, and you want to have somebody who can be a lockdown corner. And if you can pay that guy, you keep him in the building, you can limit the damage done by your Jamar Chases, your Justin Jeffersons, etc., then I'd consider that a win.
In the contract world, two big contracts just happened. The Bengals gave T. Higgins a 4-year, $115 million contract, and they gave Jamar Chase a 4-year, $161 million contract. You're shaking your head. What do you make of what just happened?
That just tells me they want to keep the season tickets full. That's all. A high scoring offense, games that are nail biters, people are going to keep coming and showing up for those. But if you want Joe Burrow to keep getting obliterated and make him have to shuffle and move in the pocket every play, great. If you want to make Joe Burrow have to score 900 points a game, okay, great. Instead of looking at last year and saying, hey, like we need to shore up a few things on defense. And even if we just shore up a couple things, we will win a couple more games. And then we're in the NFL playoffs and then anything can happen. They said, nah, we got to score more points. We have to score more points. And to me, that's just asinine. You've got Trey Hendrickson, who requested a trade, your best pass rusher, led the league in sacks. And then you've got Sam Hubbard, who was one of your great pass rushers as well, retired. So now the best part of your defense, your defensive front that you had, is already obliterated. You already moved off all your safeties and corners. Like, what do you have on defense? 44% of their salary cap is being spent on Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins. If they win the Super Bowl, we can come back to this video and we can throw pies in my face. I don't care. But just, I think that is such a high level of mismanagement. High level of mismanagement.
I would pay Jamar Chase whatever he wants. I think he's arguably the best receiver in football. Him or Justin Jefferson, kind of 1 and 2, depending on the day.
Yep.
I did not think they were going to give T. Higgins money. I thought, in fact, they franchise tagged him. I thought that was going to be the plan for this year, and then they're going to figure out another receiver in the future for next year. I was surprised. I think it's exactly what you said. It's a move to keep season ticket holders happy and stay relevant short term and not build long term for their future. Because this is going to really hamstring their ability to bring in further. Again, 44% of the salary cap to 3 guys is an insane reality. That's crazy.
Right. And, I'm not sure, what their plan is in the draft. I think they're somewhere middle of the draft. They don't have a particularly high pick. They don't have a super low pick. But goodness gracious, I can't see basically half your team's money going to 3 guys.
Well, they also don't draft particularly well. I mean, that's the thing. Like, I don't know, man. We'll see how this plays out. Like 3 years from now, I'm going to revisit the contracts and go, was this the end of the competitive years for the Bengals?
Right. And it's not just that T. Higgins is an excellent wide receiver, but he hasn't always been available either. He's had a tough time staying healthy, whether it's concussions, whether it's his hamstring, whether it's his ankle, whether it's his knee. He hasn't played every down of football or as many downs as he possibly can. And he's missed significant time, making it hard on that offense. So then to further invest in that, as a general, Howie Roseman would never. Brett Veach would never. The top of the top GMs in the league, they just wouldn't have done that.
Yeah, I think all 3 of these guys, Burrow, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins, have all missed time with injuries. And I have no problem signing Jamar Chase. I really don't. You pay that guy what he wants. He's the best receiver in football. The T. Higgins contract is a mistake to me.
Yeah.
That's money that could have been spent elsewhere building out your roster. And I just don't agree with it. I don't like it at all.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah. But I get it. It's a short term. You don't want to lose the guy. You value him, sure. But it's gonna cause problems in their future.
I agree.
I've got 4 more things I want to talk about. They're all very small, though. Mostly backup quarterbacks, actually. Kenny Pickett and Dorian Thompson-Robinson get traded for each other. So Kenny Pickett is not going to the Browns. Dorian Thompson-Robinson will be the backup quarterback for Philly. Kenny Pickett is a non-starter to me. DTR can play, and I think he's like a really solid backup. And it's just weird. Like, of course he goes to the best team in football that doesn't need him, that's going to find a way probably to flip that asset and trade him. And he's going to play really well in the preseason, get some garbage time next year. And next offseason, they're going to trade him for like a 2nd or 3rd round pick. And it's going to help them win another Super Bowl. Like, for real, I'm certain that's what's going to happen with Dorian Thompson-Robinson, because I'm really confident he's a great backup in the NFL.
Yeah, he can be a great backup in the NFL, can have a similar game type to Jalen Hurts. Maybe won't have to change up the playbook too much if he had to come in.
Yeah, he's a perfect backup for them. Man.
Other than that, like, cool, I guess.
No, it's just weird. It feels like a very small under the radar move that you're like, the Eagles just made.
Could pay off later.
That's a great backup quarterback for Philly. Like, that's a really nice move for them. Certainly a better fit than Kenny Pickett was for them.
Yeah, and think about it. And they kind of got screwed a little bit, right? Because they had Marcus Mariota as that backup, which again could do some similar things with the feet, with the arm. So it's a 1-to-1, and I think that's what Howie Roseman's probably looking to do. Said, hey, like, yeah, we had Kenny Pickett for a year, but we can get a guy who plays maybe a little bit similar to Jalen Hurts to have a more cohesive offense if he misses time. So,
Yeah.
like you said, maybe a small play, a nuanced play, if you will, that could pay off later.
Another backup quarterback. Remember, the 49ers thought about drafting him. They ended up drafting Trey Lance instead. Mac Jones goes to the 49ers, 2 years,
Cadillac
$7 million. Sam Darnold credited Brock Purdy, actually. His time spent as the backup to Brock. He learned a lot about the game and took on some of Brock Purdy's philosophy. I think they just love, like, really physically limited quarterbacks in San Francisco. I don't know. I don't know that there's not a big gap between Brock Purdy and Mac Jones, honestly. One is going to get paid way more money, I think, but I think it's an interesting move. I go, like, I want to watch Mac Jones play in the preseason in Kyle Shanahan's system because they wanted him. They thought about drafting him.
Yeah.
In that third overall pick that they ultimately gave to Trey Lance. So I wonder if it's kind of it's reuniting two people who were once interested in each other. It's like, this is fascinating to me.
What was it? 2 years ago now, Sam Darnold was the backup, and you saw him play in the preseason and a couple other moments. You're like, oh my God, like, he looks good enough to start, which he was. But the big differentiator was that decision making, right? Like, could we trust Sam to make the right decision under pressure? So they went with Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy started to show some inconsistencies in terms of his decision making, especially when trailing. So now, if I'm Kyle
Sam
Shanahan,
rubbed off on him the wrong way.
Honestly, maybe, right? No, but now you've got Mac Jones, who they have comparable arms, I'd say. Maybe Max is a touch stronger, but just one's like 2 inches taller and has a little bit more pudding on him, and that's Mac Jones. So we were just talking about, Hurts and Thompson Robinson. Maybe that's what we're going for here with Kyle Shanahan. 2 quarterbacks who are going to give me the exact same offense. Rain, sleet, or shine, I know what I'm going to have to work with. And again, like Mac Jones, although as an alternate, he did go to a Pro Bowl as a rookie. He's got some. He's capable, and things didn't go great in Jacksonville. Nothing goes great in Jacksonville, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I just wonder. I don't think Mac Jones' story is over entirely yet. And
No,
it's like,
I don't think so
that's not
either.
a bad place for him to go, the 49ers. It's like, Like,
Yeah,
again, it's kind of like Zach Wilson going to the Dolphins. You just curl the page over so that you can revisit that later. Like, put a little sticky note, whatever you do to save the page. Let's revisit this in a couple of years or a couple of months or whatever. But at some point, we're going to go, Mac Jones did something noteworthy.
I think Mac has a better chance of starting sooner and playing significantly than Zach Wilson does, though.
I agree. Yeah, I agree, actually. I wish Zach Wilson had gone to the 49ers. That would have been... I don't know why quarterbacks aren't, although I guess a similar situation, similar coaching staff, similar offense, to be honest, too. I don't know why quarterbacks aren't more eager to put themselves in good positions where they can win and learn and grow. I mean, I just... Sam Darnold with the 49ers changed his career. And then with the Vikings, another spot where he had help and that earned him big money. Like, quarterbacks should be more thoughtful. Like, Justin Fields with the Jets is not put in a good spot right now. He's making probably the best money he'll ever get, but it's probably going to end his career. Hopefully not, but like
it might put it to bed.
The Daniel Jones signed with the Colts, a 1-year, $14 million deal. I think they're trying to bring competition for Anthony Richardson. And I mean, if you can't beat out Daniel Jones, if you're Anthony Richardson, it's done. I mean, it's kind of this, you can't bring in Aaron Rodgers, who would easily beat him out. You want to challenge him, but kind of leave something. I don't know. What do you make of this move? You're making a lot of faces. I think if you bring in too good of a quarterback, though, you don't even give any chance for Anthony Richardson to grow into the role and beat out the guy. So, like, it's kind of a benchmark. It's a low expectation benchmark for Anthony Richardson to beat out Daniel Jones.
Yeah, and therein lies the problem. If we bring in a guy that's too good, Anthony Richardson isn't going to start. So we brought in Daniel Jones for competition. Again, another bigger athletic guy who struggles to deliver the ball accurately, but is decently good with their feet. You double down on not being able to deliver the football to your wide receivers.
He's more accurate than Anthony Richardson. Say what you want. I think he's
Sure,
got a
but
crappier arm.
it's not very accurate.
Yeah, fair,
I
yeah.
mean, being more accurate than Anthony Richardson is not saying a lot at
Fair.
all.
Fair.
I don't know. I'm sure Shane Steichen's got a plan, but he went from kind of the darling quarterback whisperer to this thing's going downhill really fast. And Irsay's trying to be patient, but he's going to run out of patience.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Steichen could end up back with the Eagles as offensive coordinator if this doesn't work out. I mean,
Yeah. Who did the Eagles end up signing as an offensive coordinator?
I'm trying to remember. I think they
Or
elevated
if
someone.
they might have elevated someone internally. But yeah, Kellen Moore takes that job. Maybe it doesn't work out for this new guy. Sirianni's not afraid to move on from assistants after a year. Yeah, maybe he does make his way back.
Yeah, Kevin Patullo was elevated from passing game coordinator and associate head coach to offensive coordinator in Philly.
All right, continuity.
Man, I would have said, hey, Chip Kelly, I know you're getting 8 with the Raiders. You want 11 and win another Super Bowl or win a Super Bowl? Like, I don't know. Philly, I think Philly would have been with Vic Fangio and Chip Kelly, 2 guys who don't want to be head coaches again, would have been like, we could run this whole plan for like 5-6 years, man. We could do that for a long time and win a lot of games.
Yeah, but would Chip go back to Philly though as a coordinator?
Yeah, I forget about that history there. Like,
if that didn't happen,
yeah.
I'm on the same page. On the same page.
No, I forgot about that though. Wasn't he also the 49ers head coach for like a year too? It's like, I think he was right?
with the Niners for a minute there.
Wild, man. It's just that's like a fever dream that year he was. Let's end the show with this, man. Debo Samuel got traded to Washington. What do you make of that? What do you make of Debo Samuel playing with Jaden Daniels and the group of guys on the Washington Commanders roster?
Yeah, I think we talked about this, probably months ago now. He would be a great fit in Washington because he's kind of a chess piece, right? And like that's how they talk about Debo Samuel. He's in the backfield, he's in the slot, he can line up outside. He's got such great versatility, and that's going to give a lot of options to Cliff Kingsbury to work with Jaden Daniels, to work with Terry McLaurin and the rest of that team to put together an even scarier offense, right? And granted, the offense wasn't incredibly scary last year, but you add a guy like Debo Samuel who can line up in a bunch of different positions, really gets you some great matchups on linebackers, on safeties. I think that's a big win. I think Debo Samuel's time was also just kind of up and needed a change of scenery. So going to Washington, I think, is going to be it's going to be great for him. He's going to bring that physicality. He's going to bring that that winner's mentality, that experience to the rest of the team, this younger team that they're putting together. And he's going to help impact. Man, we're really talking about a lot of veterans making an impact. I feel like people don't realize, how much having a veteran presence or somebody who's been around the block, how much that changes the attitude and the vision of your team. So I think it's going to be great.
The last time, and I can't believe this record is still going, the last time a team won the NFC East back-to-back was 2003. The Eagles won it in 01, 02, and 03 back-to-back-to-back. And 04, I guess, excuse me. So 4 years in a row with Andy Reid. So since 2004, no team has won the NFC East 2 years in a row. Philly just won a Super Bowl. Usually have kind of a Super Bowl hangover. Is it possible next year Washington does it? Next year, Washington puts together this great team. They got Jaden Daniels in year 2. They add Debo Samuel. They're getting a little bit better. Philly kind of had a brain drain, lost Kellen Moore, lost some good pieces on their roster. Certainly not a terrible offseason for Philly, but they have lost some guys. Maybe next year's Washington's year to win that division. What do you make of that idea, that possibility?
No, I think Philly's going to come back even better than they were last year. Some of that is predicated on how this offense looks with a new coordinator. Some things are going to change, not all things. I think that's the first part. Defense, and again, like these core pieces on their team are still young. So I think that's what's going to be really tough is they've got so much continuity right now. It's going to be really hard to come in and move them out of their seat, right? But for Washington, I still think they're going to be incredibly competitive, and they could potentially split one of the games. But that consistency throughout the rest of the year, winning other big matchups, I just think that Philly's going to be better. It's in the right. This isn't going to be a knock on Washington not talking like they're going to have a massive regression. This is just, I think Philly is really that good right now.
Yeah, I was surprised. I forgot the Cowboys won the division in 2023. I was like, oh yeah, like because
and then they got beat by
it was somebody embarrassing. It was bad.
It was like the Giants or some shit like that.
I think it was the Packers. I think they lost. Remember, Mike McCarthy would have lost to his former team.
It's what got Jordan Love paid.
Yeah. The division right now, the Giants are a non-factor. The Cowboys are god awful. It's really Washington or Philly, and I don't know that Washington can take down the Giants that are Philly unless someone gets hurt or something horrible happens. Saquon gets hurt, Jalen Hurts gets injured, something like that would have to happen, I think, to take down Philly. But Washington, I think, could take advantage and seize the moment if Philly does get compromised, and I think that's possible.
Absolutely.
Well, man, that's all I got. Unless there's anything else you want to talk about, I'm all ears. But that's really all I've got. It's been fun free agency so far. I'm surprised the Falcons are keeping Kirk Cousins, which is kind of weird, but whatever. Let's see. I don't have much to say on that. That's another one we haven't talked about that I'm like, weird. But anything else you want to add?
No, nothing else. It's been great to be back. Just a reminder, everybody, tell loved ones you love them. Make sure you do what you can to be around them and take care of them.
Hell yeah, man. Well, dude, thanks for your time. I love you. I appreciate you. And we'll do this again sometime.
Bop, bop, ba-doom, bop, bang. We're out.
Ba-dum-bum. Boom. We're done? I haven't done that in so long. I don't remember how to do it.
Boop, bop, bitty, bop, bop.
Bye.